Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell, Glenn Martin, and we are here for you guys with the big news about the Ravens' new free agency acquisition. But before we reveal who it is and give our takes and opinions on it, wanted to give you guys a second to go ahead, hit the subscribe button, give us a like, turn your notifications, and leave all your comments below based on your thoughts of the signing. But Glenn, give us the big reveal. Who did the Baltimore Ravens just sign in free agency?
That's the Ravens finally added some weaponry to the outside after, flirting with a few wide receivers. They finally found their guy in veteran receiver Sammy Watkins, coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs, going from one MVP to another MVP.
Smart man.
And man, the first thing that strikes me is the money, the deal. He's a 27-year-old guy, former first-round pick. And they got him for 1 year, $5 million guaranteed with an additional $1 million in incentives, putting the deal at 1 year, $6 million max. I mean, again, the Ravens organization does it again. They say we show patience, we get our guy, we got our veteran that we need to add to the room. Because I was looking at a list. I think our oldest would have been Miles Boykin in the room at just 24 years old. So I think it helps to add a little bit of age, especially because even if you look at the tight end room, I mean, Andrews is 25. I mean, it's not like we don't have a lot of veterans on this offensive side of the ball. So, and I do think it's important to have some veteran leadership. So, I mean, shout out to the Ravens, shout out to Eric DaCosta and all the people in the front office there for making this deal happen. Man, and I'm going to get more into it, but I want your initial reaction when you heard it.
When I saw that deal initially, like you said, at first I was like, all right, well, we got Sammy Watkins. But then, like you said, I saw the financials of it, and we've been pounding on this. We've been using this word all season. It's about the value, right? And I know that a lot of Ravens fans are going to say, well, it's Sammy Watkins. Well, he gets hurt all the time. Well, this, well, that. But a couple things I want to remind you guys of. Like Glenn said, it's perfect to bring up his age. He's 27 years old. Yeah, there might have been some years where it appeared that he was aging in dog years, but he's 27 years old. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been through the playoffs. He's had he had a big Super Bowl performance in their first year. He's had some big playoff runs as well. And then, something else to bring up as well is that if I'm not mistaken, the Ravens paid Willie Snead last year $7 million.
Yep.
$7 million. We just gave, and I think that was fully guaranteed because that was part of that 1 year extension they gave him.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So now they're getting Sammy Watkins for $5 million, $6 million max, $5 million against the cap, right? That's what that's the value is there. And then the other thing, and I'm sure you're going to get into stats, but the other thing you have to remember is that Greg Roman and Sammy Watkins know each other. They know each other well. So that's going to help to speeding up the learning curve with him picking up the system. He obviously knows Greg. He obviously can produce under Greg. If you just bear with me here, Glenn, I just want to, Sammy Watkins in 2015 and 16, Greg Roman when he was in Buffalo, Greg Roman was his OC. And in 2015, Sammy Watkins posted his one and only 1,000+ yard season. Greg Roman was his coordinator. He had a 1,047 yards. Most touchdowns in his career at 9. His yards per target, which I think is outstanding, was 11.
Crazy.
Right? I mean, so efficiency. And
just in comparison for that, our yards per target last year for all of our receivers, Andrews 8, Snead 9, Boykin 8.1, Marquise Brown 7.7. So light years ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who say that Greg Roman can't get anything out of wide receivers, Sammy Watkins will look you straight in the face and say the best year I've ever had was under Greg Roman, 1,000+ yards, 9 touchdowns. That's one heck of a season with 11 yards per target. So I'm excited. I think this is an A, but I kind of wanted to, give you guys a little bit of background, with the Ravens coaching staff and Sammy Watkins as well. Man, I can't wait.
And it doesn't end with Greg Roman, right? Keith Williams is his personal wide receiver coach. And he just so happens to be now, working on the Ravens staff. So he's got a lot of connections. You mentioned his playoff run, and I just want to double down on that. When the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl, during that run, he had a total of 14 catches for 288 yards and a touchdown during the 3 playoff games. So the guy gets it done in big moments. I don't really know what you could not like about this, other than the fact that he has injury history. That's really the only knock on it. And at 1 year, $5 million, just think if they would have went out and got Galladay at 18 a year for what, 5 years, that just totally hamstrings you and it limits you in who you can re-sign of these young draft picks that have really turned it up. So I think it was a home run. He's going to be. Here's what you need. You need to add a veteran. We knew that. But the fact that they were to add a veteran with such a high ceiling, we get that his floor, you can consider his floor relatively low if he gets hurt. But that's the only if he gets hurt, because if he's playing, I don't think that there's a chance that he doesn't show production. But what also it does is it gives them ability to still attack some other holes in the roster. Still can go after an edge guy to help bring a veteran in there and bring some pass rush to the team. But if they went after even a Juju, just think if they would have gotten the deal done that they supposedly offered to Juju, that's $8 million guaranteed with another four in incentives. So this was just such a reasonable deal. I'm happy that they got him. And you know what? I'm going to take this time to clear up this little rumor that was going around. It's not really a rumor, but it's a bit of a misleading headline when they say T.Y. Hilton was 5 seconds away from being a Raven, but he turned down more money to go back home. Well, we had this guy on our show last year, Brandon Banks of Barstool Sports, and he tweeted out some clarifying points to that claim. And the fact of the matter is, he signed a 1 year, $10 million deal to return to the Indianapolis Colts. The deal he turned down from the Ravens was 3 years, $16 million. So while the total may be more, and we don't know the guarantee on that, the guarantee could have very well been 10. And it could have been one of those things where the third year is voidable and they get out from under it anyway. So the fact is, he turned down a 5.3 million per year contract and accepted a $10 million contract for 1 year. So let's not act like he's leaving a whole bunch of money on the table. I mean, he signed the far higher contract for the year, per year basis, and then he can hit free agency and do it again next year and sign another 1 year, $9 million contract somewhere and still make more money. So I'm happy that this would hopefully put to bed and put to rest some of the criticisms out there about the Ravens for not overspending like teams like the Giants. I mean, the Giants overspent on everyone they brought in. They overspent re-signing Leonard Williams. They overspent bringing in Adoree Jackson, and they overspent signing Kenny Galladay. They just did $18 million a year with a $22 and $23 million cap hit in 2022 and 2023. Is not happening in Baltimore. It's
irresponsible.
It is. It's silly, especially when a guy was spent more than half of last season in the training room. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I couldn't be happier. You mentioned his success with Greg Roman. I mean, the fact that he knows the offense, he's going to come in day one and not have to, learn new terminology. I mean, he'll have to get a refresher course, but with a full off season, he'll have plenty of time to do that. And everything I've ever heard about Sammy Watkins is he's a heck of a guy. He's a great guy to have in your locker room, just a good person. And that's another thing. If you want to be a Raven, you got to be a good person.
Yeah, Glenn, I totally agree with all your points. And one of the things, what I'm trying to do here, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I'm trying to get in front of the criticisms of the signing, right? And try and have a little foresight as to what fans are going to say. And the reason I'm doing this is not to say you guys don't know what you're talking about. No, it's just about looking at things from the best perspective as possible and understanding all angles, right? So I understand that there's some people that are upset with the signing as far as like not moving the needle. Like you said, Galladay being out there. But just, to talk about Galladay, the Giants are going to spend $40 million against the cap for Galladay and for the big dude. What's his name?
Leonard Williams.
Yeah, Leonard Williams. $40 million this year, folks. 40. So what you should really be part of the reason that I think Sammy Watkins gets criticism is because he's a former first round pick. He was considered to be, he's the number 4 pick in the draft. I think he's considered to be, an X type receiver, a true number 1 that can beat corners and one-on-one coverage and win big matchups and things like that. And we want him to be that. But what I want to do is I want to look at a worst case scenario. All right. So in a worst case scenario, I want to throw some stats at you. Last season was receptions, not even. So last year he had 37 receptions. All right. He had 37 receptions, 421 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not a great season. Right.
Right.
But I keep harking back on this because if you think that Willie Snead is better than Sammy Watkins, you're fooling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Willie Snead had 33 receptions, 432 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and he made $7 million. So
he played in every game, right? I mean,
right, exactly. And Sammy Watkins, I think, played in 10.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yep.
So at worst, we're getting a replacement for Willie Snead who's better. At absolute worst, for less money. How can you not be happy about it? You know what I mean? So like I try and look at that. All the rest on top of it is gravy, right?
Yeah. But and what other team could you go to if you're Sammy Watkins and go, man, maybe they can keep me healthy other than the Ravens? So the fact of the matter is he has his best chance of staying healthy as a Baltimore Raven. They know that that's the only really the big flaw in his game is his health. They know that. They got Steve Saunders for a reason who specializes in keeping these guys on the field. And last season, what caused them to miss out was a soft tissue injury. Just don't see that in Baltimore. I mean, they get their guys in shape, and if you're not in shape, you're not going to play because they don't want you to injure yourself. So I have a feeling that he's going to have his first healthy season in a long, long time. And I mean, since his rookie year when he played all 16 and started all 16. So I'm excited. I'm encouraged. And the fact that they can then turn the remaining cap room into more players and fill more holes, it just makes total sense. And it's funny because I remember when we first started talking and trying to guess who the Ravens would target in free agency before it even opened, we did read an article, and I believe it was PFF that predicted early on that Sammy would be the guy we signed.
They did, yeah.
And that was like 2 months ago or something crazy. So some people were onto it a little bit earlier than others. But, man, I'm happy. I'm sure Lamar has got to be happy because this guy, when he's healthy, this guy is an explosive playmaking receiver. He can get you yak. He can go up and get the ball. He can beat you deep. The guy can do it all when he's on the field, and I anticipate him being on the field this year.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. I give this signing an absolute A. I'm sure you do as well.
Oh, yeah.
We're really excited about it. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are on the signing. Are you as high as we are? Remember the value, guys, when you're analyzing this move, right? And you're grading it. Remember the value. 1 year, $5 million for a former first-round pick, number 4 in the draft, who has leadership capabilities. Just like Glenn talked about, his postseason play has been great. So let us know all your thoughts.
I do have one quick question. Does this mean the Ravens don't attack the wide receiver position high in the draft because they got Watkins? And would you be in favor if that's what their plan is?
I'm not against it. I'm not as worried about it as other people are because I believe in the development of our guys. I know believing in the development of wide receivers with the Ravens is maybe putting my eggs in the wrong basket based on historical data, but I believe in the new coaches we've brought in. I believe in the Ravens' commitment to find a problem and fix a problem.
Yep.
And so to answer your question, I think based on the numbers, Glenn, I don't know if we bring another guy in because, like you said, we only really had room based on the locks on the roster. Look at who we have as
5 locks now. 5 locks.
Right.
Unless you consider Miles Boykin not a lock, which I don't, even though I'm not a big Miles Boykin guy.
So maybe one. Maybe
one spot, and they got 2 futures in Kane and Ben Victor. So I tend to agree. I tell you what this tells me. I don't think it's going to be a first rounder, and I don't even think it's going to be a second rounder. I think if they bring in a receiver, it's going to be one of those guys that has the natural talent and just needs to put it all together. Like he's got the height, weight, speed. He's got the things you look for, but maybe hasn't put it together yet in college. Maybe he had some suspect quarterback play, at college. So I think it does put them out of the running for the big guys like the Terrace Marshall, Rashad Bateman, Tylen
Unless
Wallace.
One of those guys falls. Of course, that's always a caveat because the Ravens will take the best player available right from the very beginning. With like J.O., we were loaded at tackle, and what did we do? Took the best tackle of all time. You know what I mean?
Put him at guard until we were ready to put him at tackle.
Right. So I get you.
And also, I think, we don't know what's going on with Orlando Brown. So there could be an additional first-round pick. Now, if there's an additional first-round pick in the mix, then maybe you use one for a pass catcher, and then you can fill, the other holes that exist with the with our first-round pick, our original first-round pick. So it's definitely not impossible, but without any additional picks coming our way, I think it definitely precludes the Ravens from picking in the first 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be really interesting to see, unless they're not high on Kane and who's the other, Victor?
Exactly. Yep.
Unless they're not crazy high on him.
Which is possible. They signed him to a future deal, which is basically, if we don't like you, you're gone.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I agree with you that I lean towards the idea that I don't think it's going to happen early in the draft. But look, remember, we lost our All-Pro left tackle last year and our Hall of Fame right guard. We filled up the right guard spot. We got to make sure Stanley's healthy, but we need the center position to be unlocked. So I would not be upset with us using draft equity high in the draft to answer that position, to settle it down. You know what I mean? We have a plug and play guy in there right away. But let us know your guys' thoughts. All your opinions below. Big news for the Ravens. Sammy Watkins. We're here for it, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.